I've never done a podcast like this before. This is essentially a reaction piece, but I couldn't help myself because Peter Lohmann and Wolfgang Croskey put out an awesome discussion where AI is at right now in the property management space. It was based on Wolf doing this deep dive over a while, having some aha things, and then sharing them with Peter and Peter reacting. And it was a very, very telling conversation of how the narrative has evolved and where it's going. And it's making a lot of really great progress. And it's also almost there. It's almost there. I have a little bit more to add to it, but these are two brilliant guys, and this is my take on all of it. So I hope you enjoy this and you get a ton of value with it, because I got a lot of value of it. I totally suggest you listen to this podcast too. Enjoy. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. Okay, here we go. So I've obviously never done anything like this before. Like I said in the intro, when I hear two guys like Peter and like Wolf, who are so intelligent and they're just having this conversation, and I can be a fly on the wall about the thing that I'm most trying to understand the impact to a group of people, and they're like the ideal consumers. It's a goldmine, right? So the first thing that I'm going to say from this podcast is that at some point, Peter says, I've been telling vendors that they need to listen to this podcast or read my newsletters to follow along with what's happening. First thing I want to say is that I couldn't agree more, right? I think anybody out there that is trying to serve this space, or whoever you're trying to serve, the amount of time that you spend listening to the podcast created in the space by the people that you are trying to help is so useful. So what I want to do here is just kind of go through a couple of things that were said in this conversation, in this episode of Peter Lohmann's podcast between Peter Lohmann and Wolfgang Croskey. And I'm going to restate it in kind of how I heard it, and then I'm going to essentially give my own take on it. Just because there's a big difference. I think when you look at Peter, Wolf, and myself, Peter as the operator that is super in it, serving his people, he's kind of feeling the effects of whatever the marketing engine is around AI and past experiences, but also, it's clear that he's head down doing something else, and he relies on his network and his peers and the people that he respects to get his information. That's how most people operate. Then there's Peter, who you can tell, then there's Wolf, who you can tell is a tinkerer, right? You can tell based on this conversation that Wolf has done a deep dive. He spent some real hours challenging hypotheses that he previously had, testing out tools, challenging what is being told, and coming up with his own opinion. And they're very intelligent opinions. He's a super smart guy, obviously, which is what I used to be in this space until I joined a AI company. And now, the conversations that I'm involved in, and the actions and the access and the technology and the game plan and the insights that I have access to, being completely immersed in it as an AI builder on a team of an actual AI builder to serve others, they're very different insights the way that they hit. And I feel a lot of empathy of having been in Peter's position to then Wolf's position to now from this vantage point. And I just want to inject this third vantage point because, again, I think there's a lot of value in being a fly in the room of what other people have learned. And that's the value of the podcast. And that's why you're investing in this. And I, take this as one man's opinion from what I'm seeing. So the first thing that I would like to touch on is they identified, I think it was Wolf. He said something like, man, the ability to build my own agent is so good now. Right? He's been able to build some tools for himself, and he's seen other people build tools for themselves to the point where he's like, I need to be given access to plug in the agents that I build myself into my existing software, into these PMSs. They should all have an open API so that I can have a choice. And this isn't what he says, right? But like, he's like, he wants to be able to plug in his agents into his existing software. Completely agree, right? Like this is something we've spoken about and written about before. And it's the reason why I'm such like a champion for Rentvine, right? Like I believe that Rentvine has the right point of view in the sense that they're purposefully building an open architecture because they realize it's what's best for the entire single family home property manager ecosystem. That's why they call themselves the software that this industry deserves. And just to add a little nuance to that, right? Like there is the chance of an Appfolio or a Rentvine or a Buildium building an agent that's so good inside their software that that's what you're going to want to use. And they're fully planning on doing that, right? Like all these softwares, the Appleys, the Lead Simples, the Melds, they are all going to be building their own agents to work inside their own ecosystem. And they may build the best thing freaking possible, right? Like, so I'm not arguing against that, but there should also be the availability for you to build your own because it's getting so easy and you want to do your own thing and you want to plug it in and you shouldn't have to wait for them. And the availability for a professional AI agent builder to build something uniquely for you as well, like we do, that you can plug it in as well, right? So like, I don't think that that's a lot to ask. I think that there should be a movement around requiring property managers asking for these PMS systems. And for all the other builders, why don't we build open architectures? Like, what's the point of keeping us hostage inside of your system when all this thing can change? I think it's the best practices for the PMS systems and for these other builders to do it because they're risking churning their clients because someone's going to come by and do an AI agent that is going to replace your software, which is the next thing that they noticed, right? They came to the conclusion, I think it was Wolf, and I think they were both kind of talking about this, that SaaS, like these SaaS softwares are going through like existential threats because these agents are so good that you don't need this like better checklist in the way of getting a task done if you can build an agent that just gets it done for you. So that's what's happening in the space, right? Like SaaS is holding on to their kind of like checklist as the translator between the information you know and the information you want to know, and then telling you to wait for them to build these agents for you. But they're trying to keep you on that platform. While if they were just like help it play well with others, right? Like build a great dashboard, build a good way to like manage the tasks that aren't agent-driven tasks, cool. But you have to allow stuff to play with it. So like the SaaS mentality is to hold you hostage inside of the SaaS and make you have to use the agent that they approve or the agent that they build or whatever in order to keep you there. I think the better thing that they could do is open it up, allow the software to like let you interact with it in the way that you choose, and that will allow them to stay longer, or they're going to face the threat that, some of the softwares that like see us as a competitive threat face. And it's like, oh, okay, well, if a maintenance agent can just do the whole maintenance process for me and escalate these other tasks, and I don't need this like super expensive checklist thing that I have going on over here because the agent is doing this thing for me, right? The AI is handling the majority of it. If you allow it to play nice, now, like these softwares don't have to feel an existential threat. They can just add value in the way that they can add value, which is the visibility, the dashboards, the data that they provide, right? Like I think all this stuff can play together. The next thing that they talked about, Wolf said this idea that coaches are going to go from building Zaps for people and processes for people to building agents for people. Again, same exact thinking, right? By the way, I think that that's brilliant, Wolf. Nobody has said that before. And it's something that we've been tinkering with behind closed doors here and taking some action on, this idea of like partnering with coaches to build agents for them. So if you're a coach, I want to talk to you if you want agents built for you. But I just think it was a brilliant insight, right? Like that's the similar context shift. If you're a coach, don't hold on to this past of like, well, but I'm a process builder that's doing this stuff. Like you need to evolve, right? Like people are going to come to you for your advice and your knowledge and your context and the things that you know, but it needs to be as current as possible. And if part of what you do is building out processes for people, it's going to have to evolve from building Zaps for them to building agents. So start messing with this stuff because the agents really are getting so good that you can build them yourself, which which leads me to the next point that came up on this call. And that is Wolf was telling Peter about how like now you can have this like automated chatbot on your website that answers questions. And Peter's like, well, that's old news. That's been around forever. He's like, yeah, it's been around forever for big companies that with like giant budgets, but it hasn't been around forever for everyone, which that's the aha. Costs around super world-class feeling technology are plummeting. The idea that you no longer have to be Bank of America or AT&T to have a chatbot that answers stuff automatically and feels like you're talking to a human, even though those chatbots, by the way, I've never had a good experience with those, feel like you're talking to a human. Like you have that available to you right now in the way of like building your own agents and vibe coding and all these things. I have a friend recently that via what's called vibe coding, essentially just like prompting things into making code, built a video game based on his company's marketing message. Right? Like if he can do that in 4 hours, you can definitely build a chatbot for your own website, right? More reason to understand why we need to open this thing up and let people play in your sandbox. But more than anything, the takeaway here is the cost of technology, the cost of having world-class tech as an interface is plummeting. You cannot count on that being your differentiator going forward, but you also need to like keep up with the Joneses, right? So like whether you're building your own agents or you are working with a company like Vendoroo that builds agents for you and like incorporating this into what you do, it's a coming, right? Like, so that's all really happening. Another one, they talked about the voice agents, the ones that are out there right now, saying that, there really isn't a good out-of-the-box solution for that. That the out-of-the-box solutions for this right now are trying to do too much and it just kind of breaks. That is an insight that we have gotten also, like when we've been thinking about the receptionist, our voice agent, the idea that it really should just serve as like a filter of who to get it to as quickly as possible is really where that technology is at, right? Like it can be a take the call, pick up. Once you find out that it's like put in a maintenance work order, then it can go direct to text and go to an agent where you can like triage, troubleshoot, diagnose, and send out a vendor based on text. Or if it's one of your owners, man, it's got to go to a phone call, right? That's got to be like, all right, cool. Let me connect you with like your portfolio manager or your account manager or your property manager, whatever you call the person. But like if it's your owner calling, it should really like you shouldn't make them want to punch themselves in the face talking to an AI or a phone tree while getting them someone on the phone. What else? Oh, okay. So this is a really, really good one. Oh, by the way, where it can go is, that work order triage troubleshoot thing, or you can send it can be like an FAQ type thing. Like if you have things that residents ask all the time, like there can be those responses ready to go for them, right? So that's ripe there. You could, when it comes to leasing, it's really hard to like connect it all the way through, but it could send them to like the leasing website that has all your listings, or it could send them like a document that has all your listings and like a way to do stuff, right? Like that's there, but it's not all the way there to handle the own transaction. Then there is a part where Peter is talking about these companies that have recently been acquired by like a bigger company. And he's talking about how, this like investment banking, when a company gets acquired, I wouldn't start with them because they're starting to get their value extracted and it becomes further from the client. I think this is a microcosm of what this entire industry is going through. I think that we have been promised this idea that these softwares are going to like automate things so that we don't have to talk to clients. And that is value extraction. While our point of view with AI is not that this thing is going to take your job so you don't have to do anything. It's that it's going to go handle the things that don't really add value so you can inject value, right? So there is this mindset around big tech is into value extraction and making it a worse experience. And they don't admit that, but that's the outcome, right? Like the outcome is becoming less personalized. AI, if you use it correctly, should be enabling you to become more personalized, more human. So it should go, this idea of like value extraction is the old way. That's the SaaS way of doing things, and the investment bank way of doing this. But the AI way of doing this, and actually in the tech world, the VC way of doing this, is that when you get in on this, it's a way to inject more value, right? Like investment banks buy you, they try to gut you and like sell you at a multiple by cutting costs. VCs give you money so you can invest in things that make it better, right? Like when you're injecting AI, you should be thinking about like AI is doing this to free me up to inject value, not value extract. Spend more time with your owners, create like an experience economy kind of business. That was like a big aha that they started kind of like tiptoeing around. And then they got to the biggest aha that I think is most applicable here. And they touched on this, but I want to go a little bit deeper. Peter says that based on using the tools, he has kind of like approached customer service in this like SaaS mentality. He's thought, oh, okay, I can like automate customer service, and I can turn it into like a SaaS model, work tickets and closing tickets and like making you have to like apply for something and whatnot. But then he mentions the idea of when you are a high value advisor, like a lawyer, like a financial advisor, your customers expect a phone call. And the PM Trends report have shown that your owners want phone culture. They want to be able to reach you and talk to you. And we have all fallen prey to this SaaS model of value extraction, distance from the customer, and treating customer service in a way that treats you like a big number. But you as an SMB, yes, maybe for residents that works, but for your owners, the people that like you're trying to become their trusted advisor, their go-to person, the person that adds value to their life, you need to think more like a lawyer or a doctor or a financial advisor, and you have to lean into phone call culture, this idea that you're willing to speak to them, to give them your time. And that, to me, is where this is going with AI, right? Like right now, the tinkerers and the people that are like the SaaS model people, they're telling you to use AI to extract value, extract yourself out of there, and you don't have to do anything. The native AI builders, the ones that know where this is going, our point of view this whole time is no. You are hiring AI to handle this job so that you can go and make yourself more valuable. It's the reason why I'm trying to like create this like content mastermind so that property managers are able to like get out there and evangelize their market and be known for the thing that they solve and do these kinds of things. It's the reason why we did this NARPM activation of turning AI as a hire. At the end of the day, this is not about like predictive decision making and trying to figure out like, oh man, is this person about to churn, so I better send them a better vendor, or are they like happy so I can just like not deal with them, right? Like think about the people that you lose. The people that you lose are the people that you spend the least amount of time in front of, right? Like you're more likely to lose an old client that you thought you had their trust and you haven't spoken to them in a while because you thought all was good than the noisy new client that you're really trying for. The future of this space will be a high touch consultative space. If you want to become seen as an asset manager, you need to be someone that takes people to lunch, that, like takes them to ball games, right? Like think like a financial advisor. And at the end of the day, AI is creating that capacity for you to do this. It's allowing your people to manage way more doors than they ever thought was imaginable because it can handle 80 to 85% of most of these tasks, handle the mundane to make your people available or you available for that big $20,000 expense. That needs to be a human phone call, like Stacy Salyer said on our last podcast. If you're listening, she believes that the property management company of the future is AI handling all the tasks and then a layer of like community building and marketing and customer service that is highly, highly high touch and highly relational and in front of people, right? Like that is the thing that native AI builders and people that are standing in the future and reverse engineering are saying, while the people standing in the past and trying to make the past fit are still falling victim to this SaaS mentality of distance and customer service and work tickets and like data and all this stuff that's becoming a complete commodity that everybody's going to be able to do because the cost of all of that stuff is going way down. The ability for you to do it yourself is going way down. The need for you to have a SaaS company in your life is going way down because you can vibe code your own SaaS right now. And the thing that matters most is she or he who is closest to the customer. And I love, love, love that is kind of like where they got to in this conversation. It shows, the high level of emotional intelligence, the high level of like practitioners and touching it and like really processing this stuff and basing it on the PM Trends report that validates that that is what your owners want. AI is going to allow you to give your owners what they want, and your job as a business owner is to build a business that allows you to do that. Don't let anybody else tell you differently.